guys, I'm really embarrassed and really sorry about that. Can you see my workspace now? I told you I'm not nervous about making videos, I'm nervous about the setup. So obviously I'm not very good at this. I'm doing it in a different spot. I'm doing it on the counter in the kitchen because I needed my heat gun. Can you see this? All right, I'm going to start again, and I really apologize for having you watch the ceiling on the other one. But now I know what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm starting with my Misty and some craft cardstock by Gina K Designs. And I'm using some Ranger sticky embossing powder. There's also a brand called Judikins, which I bought several years ago and don't know why, because I didn't know what to do with it until I saw the Ranger being used by Tim Holtz. So I'm trying to foil pine cones, and I'm using a stamp set by Sweet and Sassy Stamps. And I know a lot of people like to use blessings as one to their sentiments, so I'm going to do that as well. Okay, so let's get started. You can use any ink that you want. You just want it to stay wet for a couple seconds so that you can put this embossing powder on it. And it's really not embossing powder per se, it's powdered glue. So what I like to do is use an ink where I can see that I stamp the image in full, because if I use embossing powder, sometimes I don't get a good image. Or I use sometimes you can use too much pressure and you can make the ink spread too much. So here's what I do. And you can also just use this ink. You don't even have to use embossing ink at all, because I tried it. By the way, this is what these look like. I'm using the Deco Foil watercolor amber color. Stop looking at my nails, look at the pine cones. This is rose gold holographic glitter fingernail polish, and I wasn't sure if it looked good or gaudy, but I got compliments on it yesterday, so I'm going with it. Okay, back to what I was doing. Okay, so you're going to stamp your image. I usually just do it twice, but barely the second time. And then I'll even put a tiny bit of embossing powder sometimes. I'm sorry, embossing ink. Now you want to have foil ready to go after you make this powder, wet. Okay, so next you're going to do it just like you're embossing something normally. You pour this sticky embossing powder over it. Make sure it's covered good. And Tim Holtz always says not to, thump it or flick it, because you want good coverage. Put it back in the jar. Oops. See, now I'm nervous because this is the second time I've done it. Use your heat gun. It'll get wet pretty much immediately. Okay. And then you're just going to take your foil, lay it on top of it, and kind of press it, tap it, but don't burnish it right away. Let it kind of get in there and get all comfortable with each other. Now, when Tim Holtz does this, it doesn't take him very long. After a few seconds, the foil starts to lift up. This isn't the Tim Holtz foil sheets. This is Deco Foil, and I don't know what the difference is, but it takes a little longer. So now I'm just going to take my finger and burnish it. And I'm not sure if there's an exact time that you have to do this. Just like you can see it through the foil. Can you see this? So you want to make sure you get like the outside edges and all that detail inside. And you can lift up the foil and see if it's sticking. And if it doesn't stick to all the parts, you can take the foil and kind of lay it on there and get the pieces that you didn't get in the first place. All right. See how it didn't get all of the places? So you just keep going back, and this is all there is to it. Some people use transfer gel with their stamps, and I think it depends on what the stamp is, because I actually did try transfer gel with this, and I think because it's, you know, got all those little grooves and, you know, it's not a line stamp, it didn't do well. You couldn't see the detail. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just take this off. I'm not sure why, but this isn't consistent for me. Sometimes it does perfect the first time, and sometimes I have to keep going over it. So like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I just started playing with it. If you know, some better ways to do it or what's worked for you, feel free to go ahead and comment on here, because I would love to learn how to do it better. All right. So that's what you do with your sticky embossing powder. I know a few of you have said that you just recently bought it, and so I would love to see what you do with it. If you want to tag me in the group. Yeah, see, that's almost done. But this is what it should end up looking like. And I apologize for this being backwards the first time, so hopefully you watched it the second time and I helped you. So have a great day, and I'll see you soon.